gears a little bit and start talking sort of nonprofits, higher level ideas. I know it's been pretty digitally focused, but I know there's a few specific nonprofits out there. So I hope you've enjoyed everything you've heard so far. I'm Nicole, an account supervisor at 90, and I head up all of our nonprofit clients. So I was lucky enough to attend the DMA New York Nonprofit Conference just this last July. So I want to talk to you tonight about some of the top stories I walked away with after attending. So what is this conference? It's an annual event where fundraising professionals of all types, sizes, come together and really share innovative marketing ideas, recommendations for boosting fundraising efforts. We wanted to attend, of course, to learn, but also because, as I'm sure a lot of you have, at least our clients have heard us say, it's really a goal of all of ours to become industry experts for all of our client industries. We, of course, want to make sure we're keeping your program ahead of the curve and then really gaining that cross-channel perspective so that we can build integrated strategies. So to start things off, I just wanted to give you guys a quick stat. According to the Blackbaud 2012 donor profile study, online giving has increased by almost 11% overall year over year. This just kind of is another reason that tells us we need to make sure we're surrounding ourselves with the best in the industry and collaborating with nonprofit experts as well as all of the digital experience we have at 90octane to really be working towards building strong strategies and staying ahead of this curve, or this trend. So what was the overall theme of the conference? As I'm sure you can imagine, there was a lot of different things talked about, different program tactics, recommendations, things people have done, successes, failures, and there's a lot to cover within the 3 days, but the overarching thing was really around change. Change in the industry, change in the marketplace, and what nonprofits need to do in order to keep up. Okay, so top stories and how that kind of is influencing our approach moving forward. Reaching new donor audiences and donor segmentation. There were a lot of presentations around this. What is the future of direct mail? So there was a collective discussion around kind of the issues that the United States Postal Service was facing, is still facing, and how that could potentially affect direct mail marketing efforts. Mobile is a must, as I think we're all learning, at least as a consideration. And then saying thank you, so using thanking your donors as a cultivation strategy. Okay, number one, reaching new donor audiences. So a lot of nonprofits are pros at reaching that kind of middle status of the status quo donor. So the loyal donor that is, there every single month, ready to write that check. But honestly, that audience is getting older, so it's really important for us to be trying to find new audiences to reach, making sure that they're connecting with the mission of the nonprofit in terms of their core values, and determining how we should really communicate with them. So overall, it's really important to determine what is it that motivates the donor, what are their past behaviors, and how does that influence a particular communication plan that we should be having with them. So it helps boost repeat gifts, it helps boost those second gifts after the initial gift, and really make sure we're communicating with the donor in the right way. This is especially interesting as we talk about reaching new donors during the holiday season for nonprofits. It's important that you have a really clear communication plan, a conversion plan for those users that are connected with the mission of the nonprofit versus those one-time givers, which we see a lot during the holiday season. But those one-time givers still shouldn't be ignored, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the next few slides. So at 90, we've been talking a lot about and researching the millennials audience as a potential new donor base. Millennials are our future donor base, in our opinion. They're such advocates for change, and they have so many digital channels at their disposal to advocate for that change. Why not take advantage of this audience? And then the advocacy audience. This is also another group that shouldn't be ignored. They may be an audience that you really have to nurture into converting or donating, but they could potentially be some of your most loyal donors long term because they're already so much more invested in your cause than most other audiences are. Okay, so number two, what's the future of direct mail? A lot of people say direct mail is dead for marketers, but we know that's definitely not the case for nonprofits. Nonprofits, direct mail is still a huge part of their strategy, But some recent considerations, industry considerations, could be sort of changing and making direct mail a less viable option for nonprofits in the near future. As of September, the United States Postal Service just recently announced a potential rate change, which could increase prices for nonprofit mailers by as much as 22% by January of next year. So the average rate increase they're saying is more around 5.9%, but that's still a pretty hefty hit to your budget. So for example, if you're spending $500,000 on direct mail this year, that means even with just the average increase, you would be spending $530,000 next year for just the same efforts. So what does this mean for nonprofits moving forward? How is this affecting their strategies? Overall, we think, because new donor acquisition and reaching new donors is typically more affordable via online channels versus via direct mail, this could shift acquisition strategies moving forward and in the future. So leaving acquisition really to online channels and using direct mail as a cultivation strategy and a way of cultivating your already existing donor base. And another important piece about cultivation is that you should never be ignoring those low or middle level givers. This is an audience that typically is often ignored. They're kind of within that giving gap there, as they refer to it oftentimes. And really this audience should be targeted with a targeted communication plan, a clear conversion path to turn them and upgrade them into those long-time givers. So number 3, mobile is a must. Every year I think somebody says that this is the year of mobile, but I think we all know that that has long since passed. Even so, some people are still catching up, including nonprofits. So overall, one of the biggest takeaways that I took I attended the full mobile day at DMA, and one of the biggest takeaways is that mobile should enable a strategy, not be one. So even though mobile is a must, it's still really important to obviously consider your target audience, your business goals, and have mobile be a driver for strategy. Mobile also is, a really good tool for new donor acquisition. So it's, you're reaching a huge potential donor base. There's something like 355 million wireless subscribers now. And I think at least 4 of us have touched on mobile, but that's a pretty amazing stat. Keep doing that. Also, mobile enables donors to give on impulse. It's really makes it easy, convenient for them to give because you can reach them anytime and anywhere. And then finally, the disruptive power of mobile. I think that's a really important consideration as we're trying to reach an audience that's overwhelmed with marketing everywhere they look, all day, every day. Really being sure that you reach them with the right message and you're standing out to them. So what I wanted to do is just show you a few examples of what one of the nonprofits there that was presenting is doing, the Humane Society, for their mobile strategy. So they started in 2007 with what they called a boutique mobile site. It was really kind of just the bare essentials. And they quickly realized that because of the complexity and the content on their site, they really needed their full site to be mobile optimized. But of course, as a lot of us know and have firsthand experience with, we don't have the resources to build from the ground up to make the full site responsive. So they utilized a company called MoveWeb, and they helped them mobilize their site for top devices. So these are screenshots from the iOS and the Android versions. They also had an iPad version. Since they made that shift, they've seen over 350% growth in mobile traffic just in the last 2 years. And then one more thing I wanted to touch on with their mobile strategy is that they have an extensive SMS program as a communication tool for reaching their donors. But one of the main things that really stood out to me about their presentation and their program is that they really approach SMS and texting as a way of having a real conversation with the donor. I think this applies to anyone, nonprofit or not. They really said, they want to make the donor feel like there's a real person on the other end. Mobile texting is a way to make a personal connection. which is really important, I think, for the potential donor and really any audience. It's a way people want to feel like they're talking to people, not like they're talking to an organization. So this is a really good way to reach them. The Humane Society uses texting for engagement, cultivation, advocacy, even sometimes donation asks. So I don't know if you can read these up there, but people will send them questions and they'll always get responses just as if you're texting a friend. And then finally, one of the stories that really stood out to me during the conference, which was a simple one, but I think is something that's easily forgotten, is the importance of saying thank you. So a few nonprofits talked a lot about their donor acknowledgement strategies, which I'll go over a few examples on the next slide. But first, I just wanted to give you some tips from the Network for Good on thanking your donors. And I think this can apply to an idea of thanking your customers as well. So first, make it fast. It should be within 48 hours after their initial gift that you're sending them a thank you. Make it personal, of course. Make them feel like you really actually care who they are. Show them the impact their donation made. Don't be boring, so leave the tax-deductible information for later communication. Include a PS, so use this as an opportunity to really send people to your social platforms. Give a real contact, so sign the communication with a name of whether it's your CEO, your head of marketing, or whatnot. And then, most importantly, never ask for a second gift. So it shouldn't be another way of asking them for another donation. This should truly just be appreciation. So these are some screenshots from unique examples of what Operation Smile and Compassion International are doing to say thank you to their donors. Going far beyond just the confirmation email that you get whenever you donate to an organization. Operation Smile does things like handwritten notes. Their CEO calls donors and leaves voicemails on their phones to say thank you. Compassion International even created specific thank you videos that were sent to the donors, and they really showed them what the impact their donation made. So they've seen some really good success from these campaigns, and it really helped boost their repeat gifts. So I think the main takeaway here is that it's just really transparency, honesty is really important when communicating with either donors or your customer base. People want to feel appreciated. They want to have that personal connection. And I think nonprofits overall are in a unique position to communicate with their donor base versus a B2C or a B2B company because donors are already invested in your product, a nonprofit's product. They already believe in it. So it makes it that much easier. So all of these strategies presented are just innovative ways that nonprofits are really keeping ahead of an ever-changing landscape and communicating with their donors in unique and different ways. So I just wanted to take the time to say thank you to you all. I know you're busy, and if any of this information presented, nonprofits are doing a lot of cool things in the marketplace, and we're always trying to connect what we're doing for our nonprofits to all of our other client programs, B2B, B2C. So if anything in this presentation sparked any interest or an idea, definitely let us know. We love to talk about it. Vice versa, we love to get ideas from other companies as well. And I think it's always valuable to learn from organizations and think outside the box when you're trying to figure out how to make your message stand out.